With spooky season upon us, I thought what better way to celebrate than talk about a horror movie. Last Halloween, I talked about my all-time favorite horror movie, the 1981 classic, The Evil Dead. So, I decided to talk about the 2013 remake that dropped the article and went with Evil Dead. Generally, horror remakes are something that are looked down upon in the community, but I think Evil Dead is one of the best remakes. So, let's take a look at it. The film follows a group of friends that go to a remote cabin for a weekend so one of their friends can try to stop using drugs cold turkey. As they start to explore the family's rundown cabin, they find a burnt post, dead animals, and a book wrapped in barbed wire in the cellar. When the book is opened and a passage is read aloud, an unspeakable evil is released into the forest once again. The group must then try to survive the night as they become possessed one by one with no way to escape until morning. If you haven't seen this film, it is pretty much the same as the original Evil Dead, but it dropped the cheesy, fun, bloody charm of the original and decided to opt for grimy, dark visuals with super over-the-top violent gore. I think that is what I love so much about this remake. It didn't stray too far from the original and paid homage in all the right ways, but it changed things up enough to make it unique. I can't think of many mainstream horror movies that are this dark and gory. Even something like the Saw franchise doesn't match the super dark tone this movie has once the brutality starts kicking in. I think that's why I enjoy this remake so much more than many others from this time period. I feel others try so hard to be a shot-for-shot recreation of the original, or they stray so far from the source material it doesn't even make sense why the film was made in the first place, other than to cash in on the use of popular IP. The 2013 Evil Dead cold opens with a girl wandering through the woods when a few people jump out and put a sack over her head and carry her off. We are then shown her tied to a post with a bunch of creepy looking people surrounding her as one lady quickly shuffles through the Necronomicon, the Book of the Dead. We are then told the girl has killed her mother and these people have helped her father track her down and she must be killed to release the evil within. Her dad pours kerosene on her, strikes a match, and the Deadite form of his daughter presents herself as we are introduced to how vulgar the Deadites are in this film. He throws the match and she goes up in flames, and as she screams, the dad loads a shotgun as we fully grasp how brutal this film is about to be. This is a perfect cold open for a film like this. It exactly shows us the tone of the rest of the film without giving anything away. As the title card appears on the screen, it is very clear we aren't in for the over-the-top cheesiness this franchise is known for, but instead are about to witness one of the most brutal horror films of the 2010s. I still remember sitting in the theater and hearing the collective gasp of the audience from the opening scene. Director Fede Alvarez did an amazing job setting up the rest of this movie with a scene that is less than 5 minutes long. Fucker! I will kill you! Additionally, I really enjoyed the plot point of everyone being there to help their friend out to stop doing drugs. It also makes for a good cop-out when Mia starts saying she has seen stuff in the woods. While we all know a passage from the book has been read that unleashed an evil on the woods, everyone else assuming she is having withdrawals and hallucinations makes perfect sense. But let's be honest, you aren't here to listen to me ramble on about the plot of an Evil Dead film, and I'm not here to convince you this is some highbrow horror movie. This movie is known for its relentless violence, so let's talk about it. Unfortunately, all the clips I'm showing throughout this video aren't going to feature any of the super graphic scenes due to YouTube's TOS, but I'll do my best to describe a couple moments. I think the clear reason why this movie sticks out when thinking of modern bloodbaths is due to the fact the overwhelming majority of effects in Evil Dead are practical. If there is one way to pay homage to the original Evil Dead, it is definitely to keep that fantastic charm of practical effects that are becoming more and more scarce in newer films as CGI becomes more advanced. Sure, some of the new computer-generated effects look good, but nothing can beat a prop limb and an insane amount of fake blood. Apart from the cold open, our first glimpse of what this movie has in store is its version of the infamous tree scene. This version takes a new twist and instead shows a sort of slimy, spiky growth to be the weapon of choice of the woods instead of a straight-up tree branch. I'm glad they tried something new for the scene and made it slightly less uncomfortable, but in my opinion, it's one of the weaker scenes of the movie. I think the real fun starts when everyone is back at the cabin and they start to realize that they are fully trapped until the morning. Once the insanity kicks in, it's hard to decide what scene is the most iconic. There's the needle to the eye, the infected arm, the nail gun, the box cutter to the tongue, and the bright red vomit. I was really hoping to find some more behind the scenes information on how they pulled off all of these great moments, but I couldn't find much online. I was, however, able to find a special feature on the Blu-ray that spoke about how each actor would spend up to 5 hours in makeup each day to transform themselves into their Deadite form, with Jane Levy's transformation into Deadite Mia being the most drastic. I think the practical makeup really speaks for itself in this film and is a true standout, which I love so much because Betsy Baker's makeup in the original is one of my all-time favorite looks. That nasty, pale skin with burn-like features in this movie really adds to the creepiness. Mia slowly crawling up the stairs and twitching before grabbing the box cutter and slicing her tongue in half is such a horrifying, intense sequence. While the tongue cut is shocking by itself, all the small details leading up to that moment make it all the more horrifying. I think that's what makes this movie so enjoyable. It really teases the audience with minute details before unleashing what it is really going for.
Mia.
Mia's not here, you fucking idiot!
The other scene I really like is when Natalie is forced to cut her own arm off with the electric carving knife. There's so much going on, it gives me a sensory overload that is near perfection. Natalie is coming to grips with her own arm turning black, Deadite Mia is cackling in the background, and the insane amount of blood that shoots out of her arm when the carver hits is absurd. Then to top it off, when David comes back into the house to see her arm dangling by one last piece of meat before it thuds to the ground is near perfect horror to me. I cannot applaud how much I love all of the horror sequences in this film, but there is definitely one more that needs some attention. I wanted to save this final section of the video to discuss the best scene of the movie, which is the final battle outside of the cabin. It is just Mia versus some unearthly beings summoned from the Necronomicon battling it out in a downpour of blood. When I say downpour, I am not kidding. In an interview with Hey You Guys, Fede Alvarez said they used over 50,000 gallons of fake blood on the set of this film. When I was watching some special features, I saw crew members with watering cans filled with fake blood dumping them over actors' heads. This final sequence is truly nothing like I've ever seen before. It is a fast-paced, white-knuckle 9-minute scene that blew me away when I first saw it. Jane Levy deserves massive props for this entire sequence as she is coated in blood, crawling around in the mud, and giving it her all. In the special features, it's clear this was a brutal scene to film, and Alvarez said when talking about making the scene that pain is temporary and movies are forever. I would have to agree with that statement, as this scene always stuck with me as one of the most memorable horror sequences of all time. That machete cut to the knee, Mia ripping her own hand off, and of course that amazing chainsaw moment where we witness Mia sawing the being in half before it melts back into the earth. If you have not watched this movie or have not seen it in recent years, it is worth watching just for this final scene alone. I will defend how much fun this movie is until the day I die. Evil Dead 2013 was a breath of fresh air in an era that was filled with a lot of questionable horror remakes. It showed how to take a classic IP and turn it into something fresh while also paying homage to the original. Evil Dead also established itself as one of the greatest gory films of all time with its relentless pacing and insane use of fake blood. It is by no means a perfect film, but it clearly knew what it was and it accomplished what it set out to do. I think everyone has that list of films they know aren't perfect, but they enjoy so damn much, and Evil Dead is one of those types of films for me. So, for this Halloween season, I highly recommend you throw on this film and have a bloody fun time, because Evil Dead is, in fact, groovy. I want to thank you for checking out my review of the 2013 remake of The Evil Dead. What are your thoughts on this film? What are some of your favorite horror remakes? Let me know in the comments down below, and while you're down there, please drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It all goes a long way in helping me out. Thank you, and have a good one, everybody.